Sir, what are you doing in this neighborhood?
Walking my dog. Why?
Don't get smart. I know you're making plans for your next robbery.
Sir, that's racist.
Let me see some ID before this becomes a problem.
Defense attorney, you just crossed the legal line. Your body cam footage is about to cost you a whole lot more than your job.
The officer's body camera clicks on mid-stride, already moving fast, already angry. A quiet residential sidewalk, morning sunlight, a small dog sniffing at the grass. And then, the officer steps directly into the path of a black man in joggers, leash in one hand, coffee in the other. Officer, voice sharp, breath tight. "Hey, stop right there. What are you really doing in this neighborhood?" The man blinks, confused, dog tugging lightly on the leash. "Walking my dog, is there an issue?" But the officer wasn't listening. He was leaning forward, squinting, making assumptions. And then he said something that would later cost the city $25 million. "You planning your next robbery? I know how guys like you operate." In that moment, everything changed. Because this guy was attorney Marcus Hale, one of the most feared defense lawyers in the state. And the officer had no idea. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared, and your support helps us bring more truth to light.
Riverside Heights, a suburban neighborhood about 20 miles outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Tree-lined streets, well-maintained homes in the $400,000 range, the kind of area where people commute downtown for work and return home to quiet evenings. The neighborhood had a reputation for being safe, orderly, the kind of place young families chose specifically because nothing dramatic ever happened. But on a Tuesday afternoon in late September, Riverside Heights was the active surveillance zone for a months-long federal narcotics operation. Operation Nightfall, run by the DEA's Philadelphia division, had been tracking a sophisticated fentanyl distribution network that moved product through suburban areas using seemingly legitimate businesses as cover. The investigation involved wiretaps, financial analysis, informant testimony, and extensive physical surveillance. Special Agent Marcus Daniels, 38 years old, had been with the DEA for 12 years. He'd worked narcotics cases from street-level dealers to international trafficking organizations, specialized in long-term undercover operations, and had a reputation for patience, discipline, and the ability to maintain cover under pressure. He was deep into hour 12 of surveillance that Tuesday, rotating between 3 different unmarked vehicles, circling predetermined routes, documenting activity patterns of key targets who lived and operated in Riverside Heights. Marcus drove a nondescript gray sedan, dressed in civilian clothes, jeans, a plain t-shirt, baseball cap. Nothing about his appearance suggested law enforcement. That was the point. He'd been circling the same 6-block area for the past hour, part of establishing normal presence, so that when the operation moved to the arrest phase, suspects wouldn't remember seeing him only on the day of the takedown. Surveillance 101. Blend in by being consistently present. Officer Justin Crawford was 23 years old, 5 months out of the academy, cleared for solo patrol after the minimum field training period. His training officers had noted concerns. Officer Crawford demonstrates eagerness that sometimes manifests as over-aggressive response to routine situations, tends to see suspicious activity in normal behavior, would benefit from additional mentoring on de-escalation and community policing. But the department needed bodies on patrol, and Crawford met the minimum standards, so he'd been cleared. Crawford was driving his assigned route through Riverside Heights when he noticed the gray sedan circling for the second time. A car he didn't recognize, driven by a black man, moving through an affluent white neighborhood. To Crawford, that combination registered as suspicious. His training, inadequate and enforcement-focused, hadn't taught him to consider legitimate reasons for circling behavior. Surveillance, delivery work, rideshare driving, looking for addresses. He just knew circling was mentioned in academy lessons about casing for burglaries. Crawford activated his body cam and pulled his patrol car behind the sedan at a stop sign. Marcus noticed a police car, but wasn't concerned initially. He was a federal agent conducting active surveillance operation. He had credentials. Nothing about the situation suggested a problem. Crawford exited his patrol car and approached with his hand already resting on his duty belt, his posture communicating suspicion from the first step. "Sir, keep your hands where I can see them." Marcus turned, his expression shifting from neutral to mildly confused. "For what?" "You've been circling this block. That's suspicious behavior. Step out of the vehicle." Marcus stayed in his car, his voice calm and professional. "That's called doing my job." Crawford's hand moved closer to his service weapon. Step out of the vehicle now. Marcus recognized immediately what was happening. A rookie who'd seen a black man in a white neighborhood and decided that was sufficient cause for a stop. He dealt with situations like this before, though usually he could flash credentials and resolve things quickly. He stepped out slowly, hands visible, his demeanor completely non-threatening. I need you to see your license and registration. Officer, before we go further, I need you to know that I'm a federal agent conducting an active surveillance operation. I'm going to reach for my credentials slowly. Watch my hands. Crawford's breathing quickened. Don't reach for anything. Keep your hands where I can see them. I'm trying to show you that I'm DEA. I have credentials in my jacket pocket. I said don't move. Have you ever seen someone stay this calm while being profiled? Tell me your thoughts below.
Marcus kept his hands visible at chest level, his voice remaining steady despite the absurdity of the situation. Officer, my name is Special Agent Marcus Daniels. I'm with the Drug Enforcement Administration. I've been conducting surveillance as part of Operation Nightfall, a federal narcotics investigation. If you'll let me show you my credentials, we can resolve this quickly and I can get back to work. Crawford's face flushed. Being told he was wrong by someone he'd decided was suspicious triggered his worst instincts. I don't care what you claim to be. You were engaging in suspicious behavior. Now you're refusing to comply with lawful orders. That's obstruction. I'm not refusing to comply. I'm trying to identify myself as a federal agent so you understand why I'm here. Turn around and put your hand behind your back. Marcus's jaw tightened. He'd maintained perfect composure, but this was crossing into genuinely problematic territory. Officer, I strongly advise you not to detain a federal agent during an active investigation. That creates significant legal and operational problems for everyone involved. Crawford's hand moved to his handcuffs. His radio crackled. Dispatch asking for his status. His voice trembled when he responded. Show me 1015, one subject detained for suspicious activity and obstruction. Marcus made a decision. He slowly reached into his jacket pocket, movements deliberate and visible, and pulled out his DEA credentials. The gold badge caught sunlight, impossible to miss. He held it at eye level so Crawford could see clearly. Drug Enforcement Administration. Special Agent Marcus Daniels, DEA. I'm in the middle of an active narcotics operation that your interference is currently compromising. I need you to step back, call your supervisor, and let me explain the situation before this gets worse. Crawford froze, his eyes fixed on the badge, his face going pale as his brain processed what he was seeing. This was the moment his career changed trajectory, the instant where all those academy warnings about rushing to judgment manifested in catastrophic reality. But instead of backing down, Crawford's ego and panic combined into the worst possible response. I don't care what you claim to be. You were engaging in suspicious behavior. Now you're refusing to comply with lawful orders. That's obstruction. I'm not refusing to comply. I'm trying to identify myself as a federal agent so you understand why I'm here. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. Marcus's jaw tightened. He'd maintained perfect composure, but this was crossing into genuinely problematic territory. Officer, I strongly advise you not to detain a federal agent during an active undercover operation. That creates significant legal and operational problems for everyone involved. Crawford's hand moved to his handcuffs. His radio crackled. Dispatch asking for his status. His voice trembled when he responded. Show me 1015, one subject detained for suspicious activity and obstruction. Marcus made a decision. He slowly reached into his jacket pocket, movements deliberate and visible, and pulled out his DEA credentials. The gold badge caught sunlight, impossible to miss. He held it at eye level so Crawford could see clearly. Drug Enforcement Administration. Special Agent Marcus Daniels, DEA. I'm in the middle of an active narcotics operation that your interference is currently compromising. I need you to step back, call your supervisor, and let me explain the situation before this gets worse. Crawford froze, his eyes fixed on the badge, his face going pale as his brain processed what he was seeing. This was the moment his career changed trajectory. The instant where all those academy warnings about rushing to judgment manifested in catastrophic reality. But instead of backing down, Crawford's ego and panic combined into the worst possible response. I need to verify those credentials. Anyone can get a fake badge. Turn around, now. You want to verify federal credentials? Call your supervisor. Call the DEA Philadelphia office. They'll confirm my identity in 30 seconds. But do not attempt to detain me. 2 more patrol cars pulled up, responding to Crawford's radio call. Officers Ryan Kelly and Sarah Martinez stepped out, assessing the situation. Their rookie colleague confronting a black man beside an unmarked car, hands near weapons, tension high. Martinez approached quickly. "Crawford, what's happening?" Subject was circling the block, acting suspicious. He's refusing to comply and claiming to be DEA. Marcus turned to Martinez, holding his credentials up again. "I'm Special Agent Marcus Daniels, DEA. I've been conducting federal surveillance in this area for the past 4 hours as part of Operation Nightfall, a federal narcotics investigation. If you'll let me show you my credentials, we can resolve this quickly and I can get back to work." Martinez examined the credentials carefully. They looked authentic. The badge was real metal with proper DEA insignia. The identification card had all the security features and holographic elements of genuine federal credentials. Her instincts told her this man was exactly who he claimed to be. "Crawford, did you call a supervisor before initiating this stop?" "He was circling suspiciously." "That's not an answer. Did you have reasonable suspicion of a specific crime?" "He matched the behavior pattern for casing houses." Martinez pulled out her radio. "Dispatch, can you contact DEA Philadelphia Division and verify credentials for Special Agent Marcus Daniels?" Within 2 minutes, dispatch confirmed. Marcus Daniels was a DEA special agent, currently assigned to an active investigation in the Riverside Heights area, and his supervisors were extremely unhappy that one of their agents was being detained by local police. Martinez turned to Crawford, her voice low but unmistakably angry. "You just stopped a federal agent during an active undercover operation. Do you understand what you've done?" Crawford's face had gone from pale to gray. His hands were shaking. He was circling." "Get in your car. Drive back to the station. Don't talk to anyone. Wait for the sergeant." As Crawford walked back to his patrol car, Marcus was already on his phone with his supervisor, explaining that his cover might be compromised, that targets in the area might have noticed the police stop, that months of surveillance work could be damaged because a rookie couldn't distinguish between legitimate activity and suspicious behavior. "If you were the agent, would you have stayed calm or snapped? Let me know."
By Wednesday morning, the DEA's Philadelphia division had filed a formal complaint with the local police department. Special Agent in charge Jennifer Martinez, no relation to Officer Martinez, sent a scathing letter to the police chief, outlining how Officer Crawford's reckless stop had compromised an active federal investigation, exposed an undercover agent, and potentially alerted targets that they were under surveillance. The letter detailed the operational damage. Surveillance teams had to be pulled back, target patterns were disrupted, informant meetings were delayed, and the timeline for arrests had been pushed back by weeks while they assessed whether the operation's security had been breached. The estimated cost of the delay and restructuring exceeded $2 million in federal resources. Police Chief Robert Thompson watched Crawford's body cam footage 3 times, each viewing making him feel worse. He could see everything. Crawford approaching with aggression rather than curiosity, escalating without cause, refusing to accept credentials, maintaining his confrontational posture even after the badge was shown. It was textbook bad policing, the kind of incident that generates lawsuits and federal intervention. He called Internal Affairs immediately. "I need a complete investigation of the Crawford stop. Pull everything, his training records, his stop history, his supervisor evaluations, and I need it done fast because we're about to get sued by a federal agent." The IA investigation revealed patterns that should have prevented Crawford from being cleared for solo patrol. His academy evaluations included multiple warnings about presumptive judgment and difficulty distinguishing routine behavior from criminal activity. His field training officer had recommended an additional month of supervised patrol before clearance. That recommendation had been overruled by staffing needs. More damaging, Crawford had made 17 stops in his 5 months of solo patrol. 12 of those involved black drivers or pedestrians. Of those 12, 11 were released without citation or arrest
after the stop revealed no criminal activity. The pattern suggested racial profiling, though no one had analyzed the data until now because he was too new to have triggered attention. Crawford was placed on immediate administrative leave. The department's statement was brief and non-committal. An incident involving one of our officers is under investigation. The officer has been placed on leave pending review. But everyone involved knew where this was heading. Do you think the rookie deserves a second chance? Or was this the end? Drop your opinion. Marcus Daniels filed a federal civil rights lawsuit 4 weeks after the incident. His attorney, James Richardson from the Philadelphia Civil Rights Law Center, structured the complaint to maximize both legal liability and public impact. Count 1, Fourth Amendment violation, unlawful stop and detention. Officer Crawford stopped Marcus without reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. Circling a block is not inherently suspicious and does not justify detention. Count 2, Fourth Amendment violation, unlawful detention after identification. Crawford continued detention even after Marcus identified himself as a federal agent and showed credentials, compounding the initial violation. Count 3, interference with federal law enforcement operations. Crawford's actions compromised an active DEA investigation, resulting in operational delays and resource waste. Count 4, racial profiling. The stop was motivated by racial bias, as evidenced by Crawford's patterns of disproportionately stopping black individuals and his inability to articulate reasonable suspicion. Count 5, emotional distress.
Being unlawfully detained while attempting to perform federal duties caused professional embarrassment and personal distress. Count 6, municipal liability. The department's inadequate training, failure to properly supervise Crawford, and decision to clear him for solo patrol despite documented concerns created the conditions for constitutional violations. The lawsuit sought $12 million in damages, termination of Officer Crawford, and comprehensive reforms to training and accountability. The city's attorneys reviewed the evidence and quickly recognized they had no viable defense. The body cam footage showed everything. Crawford's training file documented the warnings that were ignored. His stop pattern proved racial bias. Marcus's federal credentials and the DEA's confirmation eliminated any claim that Crawford's suspicions were legitimate. They attempted to settle early, offering $400,000. Richardson rejected it immediately. My client is a decorated federal agent who was racially profiled and detained while conducting national security work. The department ignored warning signs about this officer and cleared him for duty anyway. We're going to trial. The trial took place 11 months after the incident. The jury watched the body cam footage on a large screen in the courtroom. They saw Crawford approach with immediate suspicion, heard him refuse to accept credentials, watched him continue escalating even after the badge was shown. The footage was so clear, so indefensible, that some jurors shook their heads while watching. Expert witnesses testified about racial profiling patterns, about proper protocols for encountering federal agents, about the operational damage caused to DEA investigations. Marcus testified calmly and professionally about the humiliation of being treated as a criminal while doing his job. Crawford's testimony was catastrophic for the defense. When asked why he stopped Marcus, he claimed suspicious circling behavior. When asked what made circling suspicious, he couldn't provide a clear answer. When shown his stop pattern, 12 stops of black individuals in 5 months, 11 yielding no violations, he claimed it was coincidence. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. They returned with the verdict, $10 million in damages, apportioned as $4 million compensatory and $6 million punitive. The punitive damages sent a clear message. This wasn't just negligence. It was reckless disregard for constitutional rights that deserved additional penalty. If you were on that jury, how much would you have awarded? I'm curious. Officer Justin Crawford was terminated 6 days after the verdict. The termination letter was direct. Officer Crawford's actions violated department policy, ignored his training, and resulted in a $10 million judgment against the city. His pattern of stops suggests racial bias. His refusal to accept federal credentials demonstrated poor judgment. He is unsuitable for law enforcement. His POST certification was revoked. His name entered the National Decertification Index. He applied to several other departments over the following year. All rejected him. The case had been too public, the body cam footage too damaging, the price tag too high. He became a cautionary tale used in police academies. This is what happens when you let bias drive your decisions. Special Agent Marcus Daniels continued his DEA career, though the incident left lasting impact. He'd spent 12 years building credibility and maintaining cover integrity, and a 5-month rookie had compromised an operation in minutes. The $10 million provided compensation, but money couldn't restore operational security or erase the professional frustration. In an interview after the settlement, he reflected, "I face actual danger in this job. Armed traffickers, undercover operations that could turn deadly, situations where split-second decisions matter. But I've never felt as powerless as I did standing there with my federal credentials in hand, being treated like a criminal by someone who should have known better. That's the reality of being black in America. Even a badge can't always protect you from bias." The police department implemented comprehensive reforms mandated by the settlement, extended field training to 6 months minimum, bias recognition testing before solo patrol clearance, monthly analysis of stop patterns by race, civilian oversight of excessive stop complaints, and mandatory de-escalation training quarterly. Stop data from the following year showed significant improvement. The racial disparity in stops without cause dropped by 53%. Officers who showed concerning patterns were identified early and given additional training or removed from patrol. The reforms worked, proving that accountability combined with systemic change can produce measurable results. But the broader lesson was about the cost of bias. Not just financial, though $10 million makes that concrete, but operational, professional, and human. A rookie officer's unchecked assumptions compromised a federal investigation, destroyed his own career, and exposed his department's failures in training and oversight. What lesson do you think departments should take from this? Comment below. The body cam footage remains in training archives, shown to new officers with the simple caption, "How Not to Police." Marcus Daniels' case serves as a reminder that badges and credentials don't eliminate racial bias, that federal agents can be profiled just like civilians, and that the cost of assumptions extends far beyond individual encounters. If you believe these stories matter, if you think officers should face real consequences for racial profiling, hit that subscribe button. We're exposing how inadequate training and unchecked bias create million-dollar disasters. We're demanding departments prioritize proper preparation over quick staffing. We're fighting for a system where doing your job while black doesn't require defending your legitimacy to rookies who mistake bias for instinct.